know most of the time when friends fall out, it's always because someone feels the other person did not defend or protect them in a particular situation, right? So I think my question is, yes, I know as a friend I have some sort of there's an understanding that I protect and defend you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But to what
To what
extent do I
extent?
go to protect and defend you? And
Yeah,
and what am I protecting and defending you from?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
some friends believe that no matter what they do, good or
yeah,
bad,
yeah.
right
This
or
is just
wrong,
different.
it's right or
No more
die, right?
taking a
You're with
spirit.
me 100%. It doesn't matter what I do,
Let's fight before
and they
we figure
expect that
out
from
what the
their
cause of
friend.
the fight is.
They
Let's fight
expect. Let's fight
before
before
we
you
figure
even
out what caused the
ask
fight.
what happened. You should be
Yeah,
fighting before
yeah.
asking, "Hey,
Well,
wait, you happen with this situation." You should be throwing punches already,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
Is that a reasonable expectation to have? And as a friend,
yeah, no,
are you that kind of a friend who is comfortable getting into a fight
yeah,
before you ask what happened? Because people forget about the other pieces of loyalty.
yeah,
They focus more on defend and protect,
yeah,
no matter what. Who's a friend? Who's a friend? What the expectations are. If you're calling someone a friend, whether they're even a friend or not, right? Start
yeah,
determining, are they friends really, or are they just people you know, right? And what kind of relationship would equate to friendship? At what
yeah.
point do you start calling someone a friend,
Different.
right?
Yeah,
So it's just having those conversations. And again, I think where to start. Friends. It's someone with whom you share mutual bonds of affection, trust, respect. I think those are key components
mm-hmm.
to a friendship. There definitely has to be a connection, affection. There's trust. Trust with your friends, and then respect for each other, right?
Yeah,
So friends, like we talked, I mentioned earlier, friends. It's usually friendship is usually kind of an exchange, right? Because
very
you're
much
there
so.
for each other, you support each other. So there's an emotional support piece that a friendship is characterized on. It definitely shared experience, which is something that we'll kind of expatiate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we talked about mutual respect. We talked about trust, and then of course there's the reciprocity. I
Yeah,
know, again, we'll talk about what that means, because again, I know there's friendships where one person has said, I'm putting in too much in this friend, and I get little or nothing back,
right.
right? So
Yeah,
it has to be give and take. I give a little, I get a little back, and the more I give, there's expectations.
mm-hmm.
That friendship is not one-sided. Or if it's one-sided, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
Again, yeah, just some sort of an introduction on what we want to talk about. I mean, in your experience, any of those components fit? Would you
yeah,
agree that
yeah,
friendship
for sure.
composes all that?
Yeah, I think so. You've expanded quite a bit on that. Yeah, for me, those are things that mean that you guys are friends. And I imagine that means it has different level of depths for different level of things. The friends you might meet at work, the friends you might meet on a social club, the friends you might meet in a class and stuff like that. So that has its own depths and stuff. Again, it has to have the components of trust and reciprocity and mutual respect, like you've clearly elaborated. It might be a little bit complicated to make one and to maintain one,
Mhm.
particularly with life's challenges. People move on, people change cities, people change jobs and stuff like that. So that's why I think we can focus our discussion on how do you make friends? How do you know they're genuine? How do you keep friendship? When the friendship breaks or dies a natural death, where do you guys pick up from? You know. But yeah, that was an in-depth description of what a friendship is, in my opinion.
Would it kind of make sense to talk about the different levels of friendship
Yeah,
or the different stages of friendship?
yeah,
Because I know that you have friends, you could categorize them different levels depending on what the
Really.
relationship are, right? I know from what I've seen, they say the first stage of friendship is acquaintance.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, people you meet, it's superficial, it's new, right?
Yeah.
And then you meet, and then you kind of figure out if you have any, if there's a
Bonding.
connection, maybe
Yeah.
based on your experiences, or maybe based on just your interests, or maybe based on your family situation, right? Or even just based on where you're coming from or what you're doing career. It could be
Yeah.
any of that, and those are the things that you're identifying to at that stage of someone being an acquaintance.
So there's some
Um,
need. There's some need or some circumstance that brings you guys together.
yes, and again, just the initial phase,
Right.
and then that would transition to casual friends. With acquaintances, you might meet once in a blue moon. It could be coincidence. It could be you just meet in a community thing, or you're meeting for meeting once in a while. And
Mm.
then that could transition to casual, where it's like it's regular interaction, but still somewhat superficial, right? You're still
Yeah.
kind of getting to know each other. You
Yeah.
might meet a little bit more frequently, and now a little bit more intentional in your meeting, in the sense that you could, maybe make a call and say, hey, let's meet, or you know there's a common place where you meet regularly,
Mm.
right? So that would be the next level. And then there's close friends. Once you transition from the casual friendship, and relationship changes from being superficial to having really deeper connections, right? Well, you've probably been able to build a little bit more trust,
Mm.
and then you figure out your interests, your circumstances, and you see that there's definitely a connection between the two of you.
Right.
That is close friends. And then the last phase will be best friends, which you get the strongest bonds, there's unconditional support,
Right.
and there's deep understanding. So those are more or less the classifications. I don't know if there are other, you would think about any other situations
Yeah.
that would fall
Yeah.
outside the four categories that I explained.
I think in general, those describe pretty well what the stages of friendships are, how deep they are,
Mhm,
and I think one thing I can say, like these things can change due to circumstances too. Someone can move from casual friend to a good friend to a best friend, and someone can go up and down the list as well.
mhm,
It's not like we stay at one stage for forever. Like you can have lifelong friends, and then at a certain stage, because you guys are experiencing your part in the same age group,
mhm.
you have probably similar experiences. You're having kids at the same time, you're graduating at the same time, you're married at the same time. So on the same stage, those people can, be friends, and then after, they go down the list to casual friends. Should you move out of the city? And you guys only see rarely. So all those things matter.
Will you will you agree that it is important for people to know what level they are at with particular individuals that they are involved with? Because I know, I might consider you a close friend,
Mhm.
right? But you might in return just consider me a casual friend, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if there's no understanding, and if we don't have an understanding where we are at in terms of that level of friendship, there
Yeah.
definitely can be a little bit of tension
Yeah.
or confusion in terms of what that relationship is. So do you think like there's a need for people to kind of know what level, what where they are in terms of
I think,
that
yeah,
relationship?
I think you should generally have an idea of people that you can depend on, the level of trust, the level of depth that your friendship has. I don't know if there's a need to specifically define things. It's important to know that, oh, I can call this person now and they'll pick up, and they're able to show for me in this way, in this particular way.
Mhm,
But yeah, for me, I think just having an idea of what to expect from someone can go a long way. It might help, manage your
mhm,
expectations, and make sure you guys are kind of there's some level of trust and respect that is warranted. So you're not putting a lot of burden on people, expecting much on people that may not consider the friendship that deep. But I don't know if you have to really go down and go to the nitty gritty.
Define it.
Sometimes situation just makes you, and someone shows up for you. I'm like, wow, I thought maybe we're just casual friends, but this person really cares about me, you know. Sometimes you might think someone's a very good friend, and then a situation shows up, and they're like, I don't think this person really consider me the way I consider them. So, it makes sense to have an idea of how deep your friendship is, how much trust you guys can have. But I don't know if I'll spend so much time trying to delineate. Oh, are we casual friends? I guess.
The point I'm making is not you and your friends having a conversation to figure out where you are on the friendship ladder.
Yeah,
It's you having
just
thinking about it,
thinking
critically
about it.
thinking
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
on
yeah.
your own and
Right,
determining and making the determination where they are for you, right?
right,
Again, you can't determine where you are for them.
right.
So you can only determine where they are for you in terms of
Hmm.
that friendship ladder.
Hmm.
Again, if you I don't know that reasonable people would sit down and say, okay, where are we in
Where
terms
are
of this
we? Yeah.
friendship, right? No, I don't think that is realistic. That would not make any
Really make a
sense.
mental note that this is really a good friend. I consider this person a good friend. You know, yeah, for sure.
So, um, making friends.
Making friends, yeah.
Is
Ah,
that an intentional, conscious thing that people do, or is it
yeah. I
circumstantial?
like to think we're in the world we are controlled by all these external forces, many of which are beyond our control. And you come across people, and it's usually situational, but then you
Mm,
strike a bond through work, through school, through mutual friends and stuff like that. And then you guys begin to work yourself out. Which one fits? Is this one casual? Do we share more in common? Are there interests that we both have? And then you guys can move from there. So, in a way, a lot of these things are not under our control. You know, you just find yourself in a particular situation, and then you have to work with it. You know, um, should there be a level of intentionality? Sure. But then I really think the circumstances are majority of the circumstances are beyond our control. I never knew you were going to be in Calgary when your mom gave birth to you, when I met you. I never knew you were going to love soccer and stuff like that, or enjoy having a drink or two, or enjoy doing a show with you, you know. But due to circumstances and shared interests and divine providence, in essence, you know, we have a shared experience. You get what I mean?
mhm.
And I think that might apply in different situations. You know, I go to school, I didn't know I was going to choose this program or this school, and then suddenly I meet some people, and then we know, oh, you're from Africa, or maybe you're from Saudi Arabia, you know, and then we connect on some shared interest. So, in a nutshell, I think there's some intentionality, but by and large, there's a lot that is beyond our control.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I don't know of any situations where I have
Yeah,
picked
Joe.
to, I have made a decision, intentional decision to make someone my friend. I don't think that has ever worked, right? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think most of the time, friendship are usually based on it's definitely situational.
That's
Again,
just,
by the way, you don't choose which parents you're born to,
which
right?
parents,
And
right?
you don't choose which community, which environment you're born to. Imagine me being born. Again, my people are originally from the southwest. My
Yeah,
dad was transferred to the northwest, and that is where I grew up, right?
yeah.
I mean, most of my childhood friends are people I met
Way
way
back.
back when I was
Yeah,
young. And I mean, I didn't choose that. I didn't
no,
choose the nursery school I went to. I didn't
no.
choose the primary school I went to. Those
Mm.
decisions were made for me. And my friends, fortunately or unfortunately, had to come from that environment, right?
Yeah,
So, intentionally choosing a friend,
yeah,
even as old as we are now,
yeah, yeah.
do we choose our
They choose
friends?
it.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do know. Yeah, a lot of people say choose your friends wisely, and that
Do
sounds like a
you?
cliche,
If you're
but do you
born,
really? Yeah,
if you're born in a crime family, or you're born in a quartier in Boyoka where everyone there is a rebel, what
everyone's
do
a
you
rebel,
do?
right? Yeah,
Would you not have friends?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something to think. And we just say these things casually, but when you think about it, it's like, yeah, do we really choose our friends? How much control do we have?
Mhm.
I would like to suggest we don't have so much control over that. I mean, you might have some control on eliminating people that are already your friends, and
Exactly.
like, oh,
Uh-huh.
I don't have to deal with you because you've shown this trait or whatever, or maybe your lifestyle is too expensive for me, or whatever reason you can advance. Yeah. But making friends, it just happens naturally, and there's little or no control on how to do that, and the level of trust too. Sometimes when you just meet someone, you guys are sharing ideas about each other. Oh, I'm from here, I'm from there. I like this. I've visited these places and stuff like that. And then you begin to develop trust, and I think it's blocks by blocks, little by little, you're building that. And at a certain point, you develop trust in such a way where someone can make a statement, something new about themselves, and then you like, because I've known this person, I trust what they say, not necessarily because they have provided me all the evidence, because they have laid such a good foundation of our friendship that I can believe what they say, regardless of whether of how outrageous the claim might be. So those are levels that I think can happen in friendship. Sometimes not clearly defined, but sometimes you grow in trust and confidence and admiration of people that come into your circle. I mean, how much trust you have is up to you to determine.
Mhm.
And there's another concept I wanted us to explore a little bit. There's a lot of maybe start by explaining how social media has influenced how we make friendships. Um, Many of us have profiles online, and which is essentially a brand of yourself. You're branding yourself out there to the world, and you have thousands of friends, and people interact with you through likes, comments, and stuff like that. So, in many ways, it has made making friends easy, staying connected easy. But I also argue that on the flip side is that certain connections are not as strong and not as solid like they used to. You know, you can have friends, but you guys never communicate, and you can be friends with someone on social media, and you guys walk
Right,
past
right.
each other on the
Uh-huh.
street. So
So
in a
but
way,
then again, again, just to challenge you a little on the social media friendship piece,
well,
for lack is it was the word friends used for lack of a better word, or
yeah,
was it does it really is it really friendship per se, right? Again, I mean, being on the platform and having a large following of almost about 5,000 now, um, I would identify them as my friends
right,
on social media. But
yeah.
can you translate that friendship to outside the platform?
Yeah.
Is that something that is?
I think they're social media friends and they remain social media friends. Many of which are usually friends that you guys have met along or acquaintances.
Mhm.
Can you translate that? Yeah, it's quite possible to meet someone and you should have a connections, but it's not always the case. I think social media. I would say it's another category of friends, which is really different from friends that you guys meet regularly. Sometimes it can translate, sometimes it might not. Have you ever had conversations with people on social media and you guys flow and then you meet them in person? It's awkward. It's so awkward. So I think there should be a level called social media friends. It has its own role. It plays its own roles. You guys can keep in touch with each other without necessarily being in the same location. I think there's something to be said about that connection there, but also there's something different about the depth of friendship that you get from social media. Some of it might feel a little bit superficial.
Mhm. But again, just to add, I know we've had conversations with people on our platforms on our live show,
Mm.
and I believe very strongly that if I met them personally,
Yeah,
we would definitely click,
you
right? Just
definitely
based on
right.
just based on the communication that
Right.
we've had and the ideas that they've shared.
Right.
Like if they speak, it feels like I was speaking.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
those ones, I'm like, if I met this person, this boy or this girl, definitely there's definitely going to
There's
be
someone. Yeah.
there's some connection there already, right? So yeah, I do agree. Even though you again, they are social media friends, but
Yeah.
there are
Social.
a whole lot
Yeah.
of people out
Yeah.
there who I know I would have a good relationship with just
Right.
based
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
communication that we've had on the
Mm.
platform. So yeah, I think it's important
I
to.
mean, think of the friends. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for you. We've had friends on social media for years, or more than decades since the beginning of social media. Those are people you're really connected with. When you started your profile, you added them. Those are the people, and then you grew out your network and stuff like that. So, of course, yeah, you might have genuine friendship there, but
Mhm,
I would like to challenge the fact that people have 5,000 friends on social media. I don't know how you can call them like genuine friendship. But nonetheless, they are important friends,
mhm,
They share stuff and they can keep enjoy. Recently, that I lost my mom, and lost my grandma today. The people that send condolences on social media, that goes a long way. And it's a certain level of, it takes a certain level of love and trust to be able to keep some friends on social media,
mhm.
you know.
I mean, just for people to go out of their way
Or to
to
the way they
to,
accept
to
their friend
send you
request.
a private
Yeah,
message and
yeah,
say, hey,
yeah.
you know,
It's not.
or just people going out of their way to send you a private message on your birthday. Not the generic message that
Yeah,
people send. I mean, someone
exactly right.
goes out of their way to type a message and say, hey, man, I know it's your birthday, so I think I might
Even
not
the
know
generic
you
messages.
physically,
Yeah,
right?
even the
But again,
generic messages.
no, I'm not talking
Even the generic
about.
messages.
Yeah, even
But
that too. I mean,
even that
it takes
too.
you half.
It's not nothing, right? It's
It's
something
not
because
nothing.
it's not
That's
like
for sure.
like, I know for one, it's not everybody on my social media that I wish them happy birthday or I send them condolence messages that should they have any charity. But yeah, it's not nothing. It is something. I reckon it's a certain level of trust and love and friendship. Might not be the deepest, but it's something. It is something, and that makes you is think of the attention that people crave on social media.
Hmm.
Think of the number of times people post just for the like, just for the comment, just for people to see. And there's a lot of validation that comes there. And you can argue there's some negative aspect to that as well. Um, but yeah, it's not nothing. There is something there. But I question how deep the friendship is, but I would say they are not friends.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
You've heard about the concept of fake friends too?
if they are fake, are they friends?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I mean, what is that? Fake friends?
yeah, I always had a hard time trying to understand that fake friend. So in my own definition, I think like people you thought were close to you but don't act that way, and maybe some go to the extent of backstabbing, gossiping behind your back. I think that is generally what people say when they talk about fake friends. Someone that you consider to have a certain level of trust, of reciprocity, of mutual respect, but then they go contrary to that social code.
Yeah.
Many many times unspoken. But
Yeah. Here is what ChatGPT says about fake friends. ChatGPT says
yeah,
fake friends are individuals who pretend to be your friends but do not genuinely care about your
yeah,
well-being or happiness.
yeah,
They often exhibit the following traits: self-centeredness, unreliable, um,
mm,
jealous, manipulative,
right,
gossip,
yeah, yeah.
conditional friendship. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. And
That's definitely a thing. Fake friends, yeah.
does it have to be a consistent? Does it have to be a pattern, or because a friend exhibit a little self-centeredness today, you're going to call him a fake friend, or because a
Right,
friend
yeah.
speaks about you with another
With
friend,
another
or
friend,
you
yeah.
maybe gossip? Would definitely has to be a pattern, right?
There has to
It's
be a
not
pattern.
just a one
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. And I think it also has to do with people's expectation on other people. I think people put a lot of burden, a lot of expectation on other people, and then they become disappointed, and then you throw around the word fake friends. In my experience, people use that very loosely.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think people never take time to think that other people have different perspectives. They have other priorities. They have other things that they're thinking about, and maybe they don't just care too that much. So to brand people as fake friends, yeah, I don't know. I've never really understood that concept. Like we've said at the beginning, people have different levels of friendship, different depth, and situations can portray you how someone takes you, how seriously someone takes you. Will you consider someone a fake friend because they didn't live up to the expectation? Maybe, maybe. But yeah, it's yeah. I would think it's. I'll say people have different levels of friendships, not necessarily friendship. I think people can go out of the way and backstab you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. In those extreme circumstances, I'll say fake friends.
Hey, again, it goes back to that you calling an acquaintance a fake friend. No, I'm just an
Yeah,
acquaintance.
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
Just an
don't really
acquaintance.
have
Yeah,
any real obligations towards you, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're considering me a friend when I know I'm an acquaintance, and then
Right.
you get disappointed and you
Yeah,
call me a fake friend,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
is that a fake
Is
friend?
that
And
fake
was
friend?
I really a friend,
Yeah,
or were you just
yeah,
assuming that I
yeah.
was, even though I was just an acquaintance?
It's just an
We've met
acquaintance.
like twice or
Yeah,
three
yeah.
times. We've
Exactly.
spoken a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't wake up and then I mean, I would go for a month without talking
Without
to
talking
you.
to you.
And then
Yeah,
you call
yeah.
me a fake friend?
They call
Man,
you
we
fake
were
friend.
not friends in the first place,
You're not
right?
friends with the same place. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 that says a lot. And also the backstab. And another thing that I've never really understood is the concept of gossiping. Like, what is gossiping? You know?
Gossiping when you say the things you would to others, when things that you won't say to my face,
Yeah,
would that
things
be
that you won't
gossiping?
say to yourself. But would that be gossiping? Yeah, maybe. Would it be gossiping if you tell the truth about someone or about a situation to
That
someone else when the person
that's
concerned is not there?
mhm.
Is it lying, or is it saying the truth? But because I also suggest, like, when we meet, I mean, there's only a certain amount of time we have to talk about our personal situations.
Right.
At a certain point, we definitely talk about other things, maybe
Mhm.
other social events, maybe other people,
Mhm.
in the context of a friend. If you're not lying, are you gossiping?
I would I would argue that you're not. I think gossiping for me would be if you're making up stories
If you're making
or if
up
you're
stories,
lying.
right?
But if I'm actually presenting the facts and telling the truth, again,
Yeah.
the same truth I would tell if you were present.
Right, right,
I
right.
probably
And
wouldn't
maybe
consider
not
that.
even, and maybe not even. But is it the lie? So that's another word I think people always also throw around flippantly.
Right.
Someone was gossiping. There are times that you say uncomfortable truths about someone, and
Mhm.
you're not malicious. You're
Mhm.
just being truthful. Um, is that gossiping? You know, is that backstabbing? Is that stuff? And it's also a very fine line. There might be oversharing, oversharing someone's personal life. Especially if
Mhm.
someone says something to you in confidence, and for you to keep in confidence and secret. Sure, that's clear. You going and saying it to other people without the person's permission. That, I don't know if you can say that might be gossiping. But then when you just simply say a truth about a particular situation or a particular circumstances, is that gossiping? A lot of friendship have broken down because you said it's about me, I said that about you, you're gossiping with people about me.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you say the truth about a particular situation without necessarily diverging sensitive information, is that gossiping? So I not to divert, but yeah, it's always been intriguing because I'm boring that
Mhm.
way. I sit down and I think about these little things, and it worries me sometimes, sometimes too much.
So I know we've not argued, we've indicated here that friendship or making friends is usually circumstantial
Mhm.
and situational. Um, do we make friends? How do we make friends?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My own experience is It's mostly circumstantial. Oh, I met people through school, I met people through work, I met people through shared interests, and then oh, you start talking to people and you have some connection. Oh, I grew up in this town, I grew up in that, I went to some school. So my experience is mostly circumstantial than it is intentional, and making friends that way that's how I've made most of my friends, and I've shared a lot of deep bonds with people through that way. I don't think I've ever in my life when I really want to be friends with you to someone and then we start a friendship that way. No, it's usually, oh, we like soccer together. Oh, we like the same club. Oh, we enjoy sharing a bottle of beer or wine or whiskey together, you know. Oh, we're in the same class and the same school. And yeah, it's for me, that's been my experience. I don't know if your experience has been the same or different.
No, no, no. I agree. I've had, oh, I would say the same experience. I've never really picked a friend per
Yeah,
se,
like say, yeah,
where
like pick a friend. Yeah,
you see someone, or you know something about someone and you say, I'm going to make that person my friend.
right.
I don't think that I've ever been, well, I don't remember ever having that
There's a
thought.
time.
And I
Yeah, yeah,
probably have never
yeah.
been successful
Doing that.
making friends that way, right?
Yeah.
Friends have always been, circumstances,
Second time.
but we find
Even
ourselves
your
in the
wife,
same
which
place.
is supposed to be your one of your closest
Yeah,
friends, even your wife is circumstance.
it
I
is. It
mean,
is.
if your parents pick your wife, there might be some level of intentionality there, but it's only intentional because your parents have seen her in the particular vicinity. They've assessed her character, they've assessed her background, and they've deemed her fit. If she weren't in that location, which
Hmm.
is things
Hmm.
beyond your control, your parents'
Hmm.
control,
Hmm.
she
It
wouldn't
wouldn't
even be
work.
considered. Yeah,
But
you've been considered.
even outside those circumstances, even after everything has been said and done, and you're formally introduced, I don't know that you go into that relationship telling yourself, "I'm going to make her my wife." It
Right,
it,
right.
it's not there, right?
Yeah,
You go open minded, say, "Okay, yeah, they
let's
have
see.
made this
Yeah,
introduction. I am going to go in and see how this
right,
plays out."
right.
Right, and the
Yeah,
decision as to whether or not she becomes part of you is made while you've already met, you've
yeah,
already
yeah,
had something going. People don't meet, don't a man doesn't meet a girl. A man doesn't leave the, I don't know that a man leaves the house, goes out and say, I'm going out to make this person my wife, or I'm going out to make this person my friend. I don't know
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
definitely not something
So
that's possible.
now that I think about the wife situation, there might be some level of intentionality there. It's where people who have reached a certain age and there's some familiar pressure. You're like, oh, you have to get married. So they might say, oh, next year I have to get married. So yeah, yeah. I mean, there's certainly a higher level of intentionality there than there is if you guys are just taking things natural. Like, say, for
Mhm,
example, girl, I want to get married next year, and she's purposely putting herself in the situations where she'll meet a suitor, and hopefully things progress from there to her goal. So the level of intentionality there is definitely higher.
mhm,
But regardless, there's still a lot of uncontrolled circumstances. You have to be in the right place at the right time to meet the right person. Hopefully, the person is in the right
mhm,
state of mind. Hopefully, the
mhm,
person has shared interests.
mhm,
Hopefully, you find the person attractive and stuff like that. So, regardless, if you put yourself in the right places, it might not be the right circumstances
mhm.
for you to meet your conditions.
What we might have talked about this already. What do we look for in the friends that we have, or to transition from maybe an acquaintance or from a casual friend to a close or best friend?
Yeah,
What it is that we want to see from the other person.
yeah. Trust, mutual
Uh-huh.
trust, shared interest,
Mm-hmm.
loyalty, yeah, connections. Yeah, I think those are things that to look for.
The
And
word
those
the word I was looking for. You've just mentioned loyalty.
loyalty,
What's that?
yeah,
What
yeah.
is loyalty?
For me, I think loyalty means you have the person's best interest. Regardless of the circumstances, you guys remain connected and close. And I think there are people that I think are loyal to me, and I'm loyal to them, but we don't talk that
Yeah.
much. But whenever we talk, I can pick up. We can pick up from where we left, and we can come back together like nothing happened, and
Mm.
still have a level of trust and connection, and and show up for each other in a way that it shows that we're very good friends. I think loyalty uh, it can also has a level of it can also have a level of
Ah,
depth.
okay.
Yeah, I think yeah, like my God, look at our spirit. There's some level of loyalty that you know that if you go on Saturday, you will meet these guys, and you guys will play soccer, and you guys will share a moment after that. That is an loyalty. There's another level of loyalty that you know that if you lost a friend and or a parent or something, some people are going to show up for you in a way that you consider like a true friendship.
Mhm.
There's another level of loyalty that in the same circumstance, someone is going to fly out of the country to come and be with you in that time. So in the same way that friendship is, there is that level of depth of loyalty.
Um, Loyalty to me is an interesting word, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Loyalty comes with a lot of different components, a whole lot of different
it does.
components.
Yeah,
There's definitely a component of trust. Again, it comes with trustworthiness.
yeah,
There's the component of support, which you've mentioned. There's the component of honesty. But for me, the two interesting components, it's um um being able defending and protecting,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I know most of the time when friends fall out, it's always because someone feels the other person did not defend or protect them in a particular situation, right? So I think my question is, yes, I know as a friend I have some sort of there's an understanding that I protect and defend you, right?
yeah, yeah.
But to what
To what
extent do I
extent?
go to protect and defend you? And
Yeah,
and what am I protecting and defending you from?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
some friends believe that no matter what they do, good or
yeah,
bad,
yeah.
right
This
or
is just
wrong,
different.
it's right or
No more
die, right?
taking a
You're with
spirit.
me 100%. It doesn't matter what I do,
Let's fight before
and they
we figure
expect that
out
from
what the
their
cause of
friend.
the fight is.
They
Let's fight
expect, let's fight
before
before
we
you
figure
even
out what caused the
ask
fight.
what happened. You should be
Yeah,
fighting before
yeah.
asking, hey,
Well,
wait, you happen for this situation. You should be throwing punches already,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Is that a reasonable expectation to have? And as a friend,
yeah. No,
are you that kind of a friend who's comfortable getting into a fight
yeah, yeah,
before you ask what happened? Because people forget about the other pieces of loyalty.
yeah,
They focus more on defend and protect,
yeah,
no matter what.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's something to be said about someone who just jumps in to defend you without even asking if you're the cause of the problem or not. So that's loyalty. I won't discard that, but you have to balance that with honesty and reason and understanding. For
Mhm.
me, this you have to. I mean, get in the fight, but you should be able to tell your friend that you caused the fight, and you might get us beaten one day, or even potentially let us dead one day because of your stupidity. So yeah, there's loyalty, but I think you should balance
Because
it with the
because
other.
the truth is, I have seen friendships where they are never wrong.
They
They are
never
never right.
wrong. Yeah,
They
they
will
expect you to
defend
just
each
separate it.
other
Yeah,
no matter what
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Like he comes and he sees that the friend is completely wrong in a situation, and he goes there and supports him until the ships come home,
yeah,
right? And it's support 100%. I don't. They've never disagreed on anything. People
yeah, yeah,
don't, friends who have never disagreed. There's always an agreement.
yeah,
Not even agreeing to disagree.
yeah, yeah,
They will agree on everything. And I look back and I've looked at relationship. I'm like, I know friendship. There's accountability
there's
too,
some
right?
level of accountability.
There's
Yeah,
some level of accountability. So if you can't hold yourselves accountable, if none of you is willing to hold the other party accountable, do you really have their best interest at heart? Are
yeah,
they really
yeah,
your friends?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
considering that we are humans and we have flaws, and I mean, the times where we make mistakes. If your own friend can't call you to the
Call you out.
mistakes
Yeah.
that you've made, then
Yeah.
are they really a friend, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is me looking at people's relationships out here and wondering what they are doing with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do they have other avenues where they go? And I don't know.
Let
It's
me
just
let me throw in an example and maybe we can discuss. Say you see your good friend, you know the wife, you know they're married, and then he's cheating on the wife with another with someone else that you don't know. Oh, how should a friend act in that situation? Or cheating on the husband? How should a friend act in that situation? Do you just bump in and hold them accountable at that point in time, or do you let the situation roll out and then play as it may, and then do you defend, or maybe not that? Maybe say, let's say you're a closer friend to the spouse who's been cheated on.
mhm.
Do you go and tell them about their spouse cheating on them, or do you stop their spouse cheating on them? Do you just ignore it and make like you were not there, you did not see any situation? Then yeah, what do friends do there? What do close friends
Good,
do
a good friend, a
there?
close friend.
Yeah,
I I would definitely I'll
yeah,
definitely call you out on that, right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm definitely going to call you out. And every
Okay,
time we
yeah,
meet, or every time I find you in that, I will call you
yeah,
out for ongoing.
yeah,
Now, I think the more difficult question as a friend, it's easy for me to call you out.
yeah.
That has to be easy,
Right.
right? The decision to call you out is not something that
It's not.
I have to contemplate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's who a good friend is.
Right.
I will call you out from now to tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dilemma or my challenge would be I'm calling you out and
You tell this.
you're deciding to ignore me calling you
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
What do I do
What do you
next?
do next?
I think that's definitely going to be
Right.
the bigger challenge for me, right?
Yeah.
What do I do next? Is it my place to inform or to somewhat let your partner know
Yeah. Yeah.
that this is what is going on? Is it my place, right?
Yeah.
And if I do that, am I really a good friend? Considering the consequences that might come of me making telling that story, right?
Yeah.
Consequences which I would have no control over, which he might have no control over as well, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a hard place to be. Don't ever put your friend in a place like that. I
Yeah.
don't because it's a hard place to be. And at the end of the day, when the story eventually comes out, however it comes out, my friend, you are an accomplice. What
You become an accomplice.
you become an
You become an
accomplice
accomplice.
because there is no way you can claim that you didn't
Yeah.
know. And then how do you present the argument that, oh no, I called him out, I told him about this and he did nothing? Questions will come up and you have no answers to those
Yeah.
questions. That
Yeah.
is definitely a terrible place to be at.
Yeah. So,
I, you definitely don't want to
it's what
put
they
a
say.
friend in that position. No.
What they say being between a hard rock, a hard place and a rock.
Mhm.
Um, it's and then let's say the person who's been cheated on is your friend, and maybe you just know their spouse, children. Do you have a responsibility to tell that friend?
Yeah, man.
So those are difficult. They are really difficult situations to navigate, and we might on paper say, "Oh, it's easy," or go tell them, but then there are repercussions that you have clearly stated. They might get divorced, they might abandon the family, and stuff like that, and then you will have some guilt and some responsibility to bear. But what do you do? And if you don't do, and then your friend comes and discovers, it's like, oh, I thought this person was supposed to defend my interests, and they did
Mhm.
not. Are we really friends?
I think it's that situation where they say, damn if you do, damn if you
Damn,
don't.
damn if you don't.
Like whatever
You know?
you do,
Yeah. So it's tricky. It's really tricky,
it is.
and these situations come up more often than we might want to agree or want to acknowledge.
Mhm.
And it might not necessarily be something like extreme as cheating. It might be. oh, you told me you're supposed to be home at this time, but we're still here and we're having drinks and we're making
Mhm,
fun and we're having fun.
mhm.
But your wife knew you're supposed to be home like an hour
Do
ago.
I
It's so,
do I get you to go home,
do I get you
or
to
do I
go home
sit
and
with
stay
you and
here
continue having fun?
and stay here? So I know the case of cheating might be extreme, but there are little subtle things that we might experience this.
But what I know is a friend would remind you, hey, man, you remember you said you were supposed to be home
Yeah,
at this time, so that
yeah.
you're conscious that you're consciously deciding to stay, knowing
Or
that.
a friend will tell you, Master, that woman did ever talk to me can have more enjoyed the time, Master. You
Well,
know,
that is true too.
that's true.
That is true too. I was going to say something, but good thing I didn't say it. But I mean, me and you know that we've made statements like that, right? Say, Master, forget that Tibu hang. Yeah. Now one time, say in
I
a week,
know.
what type of thing, right? Um,
You know,
but again,
we have made, I know I've made the statement. Your wife is still gonna be mad if you're 5 minutes late, like if you're 5 hours late. And I continue to enjoy my friends, and they enjoy my company. I enjoy your company too. Will you be a good friend to tell me go home? You know, so just to say, yeah, this situation might not be that extreme, but yeah, they do come up every now and then, and
mhm,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
well,
Um, Keeping friends,
yeah, keeping friends, yeah,
maintaining
that,
friendship. I think it's
yeah,
maintaining
maintaining,
friendship.
yeah,
That is hard to do. It's hard work.
yeah, it is hard work, and it also, yeah, it's also up and down as life presents itself, and then people move on, people find new interests, people change careers, and they create new friends. So there's because I can think back, there are a lot of best friends that I had when I was in secondary school and university and stuff, and we don't talk now. But should I pick up the phone and call them? I think we're just gonna pick up from where we left and have a conversation.
Mhm.
Are they still the same level of friendship that we had when we were in secondary school and universities and stuff like that? Maybe not, but
Yeah.
we're still good friends. And and we pick up on where we left. So what is that kind of a friendship? I don't know, but yeah, yeah. Maintaining friends, it can be one tricky things. Again,
Mhm.
it can go back to the expectation that you have of people. Do you expect that people will move on and have families of their own and have other interests of their own and are committed to other things, and you guys might not talk the way you guys used to before?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And is it fair to give people grief for not calling you every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks if you guys consider to be friends? I don't know. I don't think that's fair. Yeah.
In addition to everything else that you've mentioned, that might cause change in relationships. So talking about people getting to a place where people, so you have really good friends, high school. Now you're getting into the university. Everybody's picking their little department, and then you realize that, oh, now you're in UB, for example, and
Yeah.
this guy is doing law, that guy is doing accounting, this
Yeah.
guy is doing science. At the end of the day, maybe people are busy with school and life. You don't
Yeah.
get to hang out a lot, you don't talk a lot because people are focused. Okay, you're definitely, there's definitely a strain in those relationships, right?
Yeah.
Just because of that. And then, okay, after 3 years, it's graduation, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now people are picking jobs and people are traveling out. Those are,
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
are going to the US, Canada, people are
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
here, this guy
Yeah.
is working in Yaoundé, this guy is working in some village down in the northwest. Ha! Now it's like you have like two people left outside a large
Yeah. Yeah.
group of friends, right?
Yeah.
No, but what I think primarily, again, talking about families, people are having wives and having children and getting busy, and life is busy that way. But I think personally, I think the biggest killer of friendship is distance.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
distance is the biggest killer of. I've had too many friends
Yeah.
whom our relationship has changed
Has changed because of
significantly
distance. Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah.
Because again, no matter how often you do the phone calls, I think sometimes the physical presence and the location itself, sometimes is what binds and holds relationships together, right?
Yeah.
Once someone is way down, someone is way, so you're
Yeah.
here, someone is in Cameroon, you might call him once or twice. Conversations are not always long because it's expensive outside WhatsApp and all that. It's
Yeah.
expensive to do. Maybe the
Yeah.
network is not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's night here, it's
Mm-hmm.
day over there.
It's there over there. Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely think that friendships die very quickly
Yeah.
when there's a distance component to it,
It,
right?
it is. It is.
It's
Plus,
definitely difficult.
yeah. Plus, there are other extenuating circumstances that don't necessarily bring you guys together. Because if I consider you my friend, um, I'll expect that, oh, you made sure for my kid's birthday, or you made sure for my graduation, or we have meetings that we meet regularly and stuff like that. Even if I consider you as my best friend, if these things are not happening between us and I'm experiencing these things with other people, it does affect the friendship, no
Mhm.
matter how good you guys are. If I
Mhm.
had my birthday and other people's kids showed up and other people's friends, and then the next time maybe I lost my parents and the other people showed up and stuff like that, I may consider you my best friend, but there are these extenuating circumstances that people show up for each other and then people begin to create other bonds that are not, that might begin to weaken the other bonds that you share with the other person. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and again, you're right, because if, again, the distance piece, you're way over
you're
there,
way
right?
over there.
So things are happening in my
Right.
life, and other people are showing up,
Other
which
people are
means
showing
I
up
am forming and building
and being on it.
better relationships
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
people who
yeah.
are around me. Eventually, your place might not be the best friend
Might not be
anymore
the place. Yeah,
because
yeah.
maybe now this person who's right here is playing that
It's
role
playing
better
that
than
role.
you,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
now this
yeah.
is
And
my
and it's
best
and
friend
it's
can
no
say,
and it's no fault of yours. It's just
no.
life. It's just life.
Mhm,
Life happening to people,
mhm.
and then people move on, and life continues. And the other person too is also creating relationships, and other people are showing up for them in ways that you cannot.
That you can, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just life. It's just life, and. Sometimes friendship survives it. Sometimes they break down. But my biggest thing is the ability to be able to pick up from where you guys left and know
Mhm.
that life has happened and people have gone different ways, but you guys can still connect on some level.
But again, Ghana, I would argue that time too is important.
All time is important.
Because give it 5 years, there's no way
Yeah.
there's no way that connection
No.
stays, right?
No.
So for example, I might be away for 2 years, come back home, we meet, we
Yeah.
hang out for a month during my vacation, and I come back,
Yeah.
and then we talk once in a while for the next. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But if you give yourself a reasonable gap without actually meeting
Meeting.
someone face to face and
Right.
spending time together, I can assure you that when you speak after 5 years, you two
Yeah.
will be like, it will be
You'll be in
as
different
if you're
places of
just
your life.
meeting each other for the first
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
because his life has changed so
Yeah.
much and you have no clue how much his life has changed.
Yeah.
Your life has changed to a certain degree, he has
Right.
no clue.
Right.
So
Right.
whenever you meet, it's if it would feel like, again, the advantage is
Yeah.
you
So.
know subconsciously that
Yeah.
this has been a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to um it's easy to learn about each other really
Right.
quickly and
Right.
to kind of move on, right? But again, that relationship is not always the same each time you meet.
Yeah. It's not the same.
It's not always the same each time you meet. I think time and distance
It
it
does.
weakens the bond significantly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think so too.
Good.
Any comments? I don't know. We've been here for an hour.
I have not. I wasn't checking. I've just been talking and going.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I don't see any comment.
Yeah. I don't see anything.
Um, I know.
Yes.
I guess we're kind of rounding
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more thing. Question. Show me your friends, and I tell you who you are. Is that true?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. If you're hanging around with five drunkards, you're probably the sit drunkard. If you're hanging around with five millionaires, you're probably the sixth millionaire. So there is something about the friends that you choose and keep. You know, it's a reflection of who you are. There are people in our community that should they have a tragedy and you see the way people show up for them, it tells you how they show up for other people. And
Mhm.
take, for example, the late George, and look at how the community turned out for him, you know. Up to today, there are people who are registering in association just because of the level of love and support that they saw people pour into George and his family during his demise, you know. So it's a reflection of who he is or who he was as a person, you know. If you die and only a bunch of drunkards show to your funeral, it's a reflection. It's a reflection of who you are. People die and maybe their church groups or their meeting groups and stuff like that. It's a reflection of who you are, you know. So there's a lot of truth to that statement. There's a lot of truth
The-
because
to, to a
for
certain
me,
extent,
yeah, to a
you
certain
want to say,
extent, yeah, for because I think it's predicated on the fact that you are choosing people of the same interests, the same, um, the same, yeah, the same interest, the same love of certain things, the same, yeah, the same shared experience or stuff like that.
you you remember I mentioned earlier that you really don't, as a child, I mean, as an adult, yes, it makes sense, it might be applicable to a certain extent, but as a child, so take again, I'll just give you some crazy example. Take for example, I don't know what part of Cameroon is really rough. What, a really
Wow,
rough
you
city?
have Douala, you have a lot of
Some
homeless children there, and
some
some
part of
quite of
Douala, some
yeah,
crazy
some
part.
part of the yeah,
So imagine you being born in that
and
environment,
that
right?
environment, yeah, yeah,
Where everyone, I mean, in some really poor, down-beaten neighborhood
yeah,
somewhere in Cameroon, where every child there is struggling to make ends meet, and there are pickpockets, there are thieves, there are
yeah,
this, there
yeah,
are that, is that, right? And you happen to be born in that community, you happen to grow up in that community. Again, like I said, your friends are the people you grow up and the people you
yeah,
know, right?
yeah.
Would it be fair to assume that every child your age living in that community, would it be fair to paint everyone the same stroke? Would it be fair to say,
Everyone's
because
a
you
pickpocket.
grew up here
Mm-hmm.
and most or some of the kids who grew up in that community are this, so I assume that you too are that. That is why I ask, is it true to say that you show me your friends and I show you who you are?
Yeah, yeah,
If you look at it in that light, would that be a fair comment to make? There might be some truth in it though, but
yeah,
would it be a fair comment to make?
yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know that it's fair, but I think life is done by generalities. We make decisions by generalities. If I see you in a group of friends who are pickpockets, naturally I would not trust you because it's unfortunately I have to make a certain level of generality because I don't know you personally,
Mhm.
and most of the times we go across lives looking at weighing the pros and cons, looking at what generally happens and make decisions. In that sense, it's fair, but obviously you're going to have false positives and false negatives. You know, you're going to have people who are genuine people who are hanging out with these people, but they get the bad rap.
Mhm.
Or and many times people are burned because you really want to say, "Oh, this person, their circumstances do not define them," and then you bring them close, and then they burn you. You know, it's unfortunate. It can be unfair, but yeah, I think it's fair because life is made of generalities, and we make decisions every day based on generalities. You know, you can't go out and know every specific details of everybody before you make a particular decision. But I can say I don't trust people who are from Mutengene because I have heard too many stories of people who have been duped and taken advantage of from by people living in Mutengene. That is not an unfair statement to make. It's based on my reason and judgment, and in many circumstances, my experience too. You know,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That,
Does that put people? Does that give genuine people from thinking a bad rap? Sure, it does. But yeah, how else am I supposed to be protective of myself? You know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you present a good argument. Probably a topic of conversation on its own
Yeah,
because I have
yeah,
a lot to say about that.
yeah,
But
yeah. I know.
because again, it's the stereotype now and
It's a
the
stereotype
bias. It's the stereotype and the bias
and the
that is
bias
working based on what you've been
based
told
on what
and
you.
taught
So
growing
yeah,
up. Because again, me too, I agree. I've always heard that Mutengene, and people
exactly.
who come from there, there's those stories, right?
Yeah.
But again,
So let me ask you: would it be wise to go to Mutengene and just leave your wallet hanging around anyhow, or just talking to anybody? I don't think that's a wise decision. You know, it's not a wise. Like if you have a child, you not advise them to be careless in Mutengene because you are looking out for their best interest. Is it stereotypical? Sure. But then there's a lot of truth in stereotypes. Stereotypes are
Mhm.
stereotypes because they are certain truths about it. You know, um, um, stereotypes don't just happen because because people are making up stories. There's several levels too. That's why it's called a stereotype. You
Mhm.
know,
Okay. Last thing. Knowing what we know about friends now, will you consider your wife a friend?
we had this.
We might have had this conversation. I think we might have had this conversation. So this is
Yeah,
me.
I think your wife should be your wife. You guys should be friends, but yeah, your wife should be your friend. Yeah. But I can see relationship where you can your wife not be your friend? I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think your wife should necessarily be your best friend. I think there should be a role for your best friend and there should be a role for your wife. Call me crazy, but I think so too. I don't think there are certain things that my guy friends I consider good friends can do for me that my wife not do, and obviously there are things that my wife will do for me that my guy friends can do.
Yeah, but again, you're trying to. There's definitely a parallel
I think
between your
I'll
wife
say your
and
wife
your
should be your
friends.
friend. I'll say your wife should be your friend for sure.
Should be
Is your friend?
is your friend.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
Are you your wife's friend?
yeah. I hope so.
Why are you hoping? Yeah, I don't. For me,
I think so. Yes.
for, I would argue to the
Yeah.
contrary. I
Yeah.
think I would think
That
that
was.
if we agree that people play roles in your lives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even though we agree that people could play multiple roles and wear multiple hats, I am strongly of the opinion, my personal preference, that your wife plays the role of a
Of
wife and
yeah.
remain a wife.
Yeah.
Your friend
But doesn't it?
play the
And my pushback. Doesn't your wife start from that level of friendship and then grows up to and graduates up to that level of wife? The level of the idea of a wife is predicated on the fact that she has shared interests, she's loyal, she's trustworthy, and stuff like that. So it grows up from that. You won't pick somebody to be your wife naturally if they don't have those characteristics that basic friendships are built on.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Ghana, that there are certain they call it interlap. There are certain components
Yeah,
that would apply for both.
right.
But I can also assure you that there are definitely other components.
Yeah,
There are definitely
very,
components of
definitely.
friendship
Yeah,
that I would not want my wife to
obviously
attempt to play
to
those
play.
roles, right?
I
So
totally agree.
that's
Yeah.
why I say I mean, again, there's definitely transition. A wife could start from a friend
Mm,
and then to
mm.
a
To
girlfriend
what?
and then to
What?
that's why it's called a wife and not a friend or a girlfriend, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The friend thing is completely
But
taken out of the picture.
it is from friend.
I think it's intentionally taken off so that the wife's role and her place in your life is unique to her, right, and to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because again,